Hi, my name is Dori.
Hey, my name is Levi.
And welcome to our channel.
Welcome.
So a month ago we decided to move to Krakow from Budapest to study filmmaking. And instantly we met a lot of very interesting people. So the idea came to our mind, maybe we should make some YouTube videos and interview these people and share what they have to say with you.
The very first person we interviewed was Kevin Skaggs, who's from Seattle, Washington. And at age 29 he moved to LA and worked on really big shows there as a sound guy, as in sound department, mostly as a dialogue editor, in shows such as Criminal Minds or Ice Road Truckers. And we were really curious about his story, his journey here to Krakow, Poland. And I think he had really great insights on the differences in between Poland and America. The show is called A Day in Krakow. Please tag along and let's go!
It's best.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
So how did you end up in Poland?
Poland was never on the map for me. I mean, it was never a place that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Poland. I learned how to speak Polish, with no disrespect to Poland or Polish people or anything. I mean, in my travels, I'd kind of been on the road since August of 2017, and I'd lived in Spain for a little while, and then I was living in London for a little while, and going to places like Copenhagen and Berlin and different places like that all around Spain, all the while reluctantly admitting it that I've been on Tinder. Sorry. She's from Poland here in Krakow, so we kind of met digitally, and quickly we kind of realized that we weren't normal Tinder people, so we got our conversation outside of Tinder as fast as possible. And then once that happened, it started becoming really apparent that this was somebody that was different. And I was already kind of doing this weird world travel, eat, pray, love, whatever you want to call it. And I said, all right, I've never been to Poland. I don't know anything about Poland except for Warsaw and Krakow, barely anything about those two places. So I didn't know one word of Polish at all. And I came here, and that's pretty much why I'm still here. Because her and I started working out, and she became my partner. And being 42 at the time, you kind of have a little bit of a perspective on, like, okay, I've done 20 years of this, and this doesn't work. This works, so let's take the best of it and get rid of the worst of it and relearn how to be a functional human being.
You said before that you didn't know anything about Poland, but that's not true, because before the interview you were telling me that you knew about Tadeusz Kościuszko, who is like a really famous...
No, I learned about that when I came here.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
How come? Did you just start to look up history?
No, because Anna was very proud of it.
Oh, nice.
Anna's my partner, by the way, and she taught me about this guy, Tadeusz.
But did you learn anything about Poland in the USA in school?
Not really. I mean, what you learn in school are this sort of, if I said missionary terms, would you know what I mean? Just the standardized kind of that is only 1/4 true, Like it only is one perspective and one sort of viewpoint. My real education happened later on in life when I actually went to other places in the world. So the only thing you really learn about Poland is from movies, World War II, and it's a shame because there's so much more than just that. I mean, there's so much more than just the general history of any country, Hungary included.
And what was your impression before you came here about Poland?
I didn't have one, really.
Really?
Yeah, well, that's a lie. I think my impression of it was it's a very Eastern European country, and I'm going to find little villages with like a lady with a scarf on, dusting her porch, and putting a flower out, with a pumpkin, offering me some chai, but even though that's further east, like past Ukraine, I had a very skewed view of what basically anything east of Prague, was like. You go along the German border, and anything east of that was just kind of this mystery fog. I imagine the next question would be, what do you think now? But I'm actually pleasantly surprised about how I don't know what the best word is here. It's not diverse as far as like what the rest of Europe is, but how specific it is. You know what I mean? Like there's a deep, rich culture. And it's very strong, steadfast to it, but at the same time, it's growing in the modern world. It's this weird duality going on between old traditions, and I'm not talking politics. I'm talking just society and behavior. Yeah, exactly. Cultural, exactly. And the young people around your age have this beautiful opportunity to grow up in a free Poland, because you guys were born in the 90s, right? Yeah, and just several years before that, it was like, okay, now we're free. Like, what the f*** do we do now? Like, people my age back then were like, what the f-? But, you guys were born into, a free Hungary and a free Poland. And I think this is what excites me about seeing a country that has a sort of relatively newfound freedom compared to the U.S., which has kind of gotten a little bit confused about all of the freedom that it's had for ages. And again, this is my very biased opinion, and does not reflect the rest of the culture that I come from. It's just my own observations. So just it doesn't mean anything anyway. Just to make sure it's audible and on screen, and anyway, my opinion is just my opinion. My experiences are just my experiences. Of course. One of the things I will add about being on this side of the world is that people really like the human condition over here more than they do over there. Like, you guys are genuinely interested in the human condition, and you found something interesting in me, and you wanted to talk to me about it, and you wanted other people to learn about it whilst you learned about it, And you, as far as I can tell, it's an authentic, genuine desire, right? Like, from you guys. Yeah. But for me, it's a combination of your curiosity, your interest, your desires for yourself, and what you can learn and all that. But also you both grew up in Hungary, okay? Like, being from Hungary and Budapest, and having a different sensibility from the start. Like, if you, like, a lot of people are grow up to be sort of self-centric, and I'm sure in Hungary it's the same thing. Like just me, I got to take care of me, and that's it. Yeah. As opposed to, when I come over here, I find more people like you guys. So I find, even in Poland, just people who are willing to have a drink and sit down and have a good laugh and enjoy each other's company. Like, I always dreamed of something like that. I grew up in Washington, which was similar, but LA, it's like there's so many other little elements that are added to it. It's really hard to just relax and be a human before you're a man or a woman or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. But again, that's my own personal bias and my own personal opinions. Which doesn't reflect everybody? Okay.
It's going to be like a disclaimer.
Yeah. Big red letters, attention.
Can you tell us a little about your career, what you do?
Yeah, I think that to me was the biggest learning experience of my entire life, is when I finally committed to what I actually loved to do. I had a lot of different loves in life, like photography. And, I got my dream job in photography in the late 90s, and I ended up hating it. And I wound up getting sacked in a really good way from that job, and it was such good money, and it was like working at a studio, and I was young, and anyway, when I got sacked, I delivered pizzas for a little while. I think I told you that part already. And then I decided to go to engineering school for audio engineering, because all the while I'd been doing music on MIDI sequencers and tape recorders, and I'm sure you're familiar with all that stuff. One thing led to another, and I wound up deciding to go to a school in Florida called Full Sail. I don't know if you've heard of that. Yeah. It wasn't worth the money, no offense, Full Sail, but it wasn't worth the money. It wasn't worth the experience, because I could have skipped that, essentially, and gone straight to interning. And at the end of the day, when I got to LA, I'm like, this is where I belong for now. And I was 29 years old and up against 18-year-olds for an internship. And the best part about that is I got an opportunity to go do an interview with a studio called Sonic Magic. I went for the interview, and they're like, thank you very much, see you later. We're not interested. And then I got the opportunity to go again just about 3 weeks later. And they're like, hey, we remember you. And the only reason I got that job is because I went back. And they remembered me. It was me and this other guy who were similar age, and he could build stuff, so they wanted him to help build the studio. And they're like, we can't afford you, so you're out. I was like, all right. A couple weeks later, I got a job at a place called Widget Post as a transfer engineer. And I was there for 5 years. And within that job, I went from making basically no money to having an incredible salary in the union and buying my first car and, you know, all this kind of beautiful stuff, and living in LA in a very privileged kind of way. And, you know, comparatively, you know, a lot of people move to LA and they think it's going to be so easy and great because they're there. But then that's when the real work starts, and it's like a really experience or a really awesome experience depending on how willing you are to take the risks and do all that kind of stuff. But I was doing an engineer work, and I was also a stage assistant, so the mixed stage, you know, those big huge 92 fader consoles with the, you know, with like a bunch of different guys, like dialogue mixer, sound effects mixer, music mixer, all that. Sometimes I was a stage assistant and I would help with that. Long story short, with Widget, it expanded too quickly, too much, folded, went Chapter 11, which is bankrupt, and they had to shutter their business and do that. And then I ended up at a place after that doing editorial for Deadliest Catch and all of these kind of TV shows, like Ice Road Truckers, a bunch of reality TV show, which is great. I always wanted to be an editor, so having the engineering background was great, but editing was something I really wanted to do because I knew I could take that to other places. And that's what kind of set me off on my current path. And after that ended, that was when the real started to hit the fan. So that job lasted 4.5 years, and then when I got laid off from that, that's when I started taking a dive, because I was all of a sudden thrust into the freelance world and I had no idea how to do it. And I had this awesome apartment, awesome car, and awesome that I couldn't afford, and it was just and all of a sudden I was just kind of like, am I going to be homeless now? Am I going to be one of these statistics? Am I this guy? And that's what caused the crises of hope. At the end of the day, I had put all of my value and my self-worth on how much money I was making and how many cool things I had and all this kind of stuff, and at the end of the day it was worthless. You know, not like, ultimately I realized that I wasn't worthless, but like the things that I put value in were worthless. So yeah, I ended up realizing that I could sort of start over again. It wasn't such a scary thing to be in my 40s. I just didn't want to wake up tomorrow, be 80 years old, and regret that summer of 2017 that I didn't sell all my and move to Europe. I don't regret a thing. You know, all of that. So I love doing this work. I love doing sound and music, and I was also doing music stuff too, but I forgot to mention that. But for me, it's not worth it to always be in this constant state of struggle. You know, like to never have relationships that you feel like are possible, but you're just not in an environment that breeds that, you know?
This was really informative. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you guys have time to hang out today too, or are you guys?
Yeah, we are so free.
Because I want to learn about you guys' music and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe then turn off the camera while we are talking.
We can learn about that in private.
Okay, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, and bye. See you later.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Bye again. See you.
See you. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.